Yeah, go ahead. I can edit all of this out.
No. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not live. Thank goodness it's not live. I'd never be able to survive in this if I did all of it live. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in this episode, The Siege, we find that the Mandalorian ship is just in terrible condition and it needs to go somewhere in order to have some major repairs made. An attempt, comically, to get the child to reroute some wires comes to a predictable end. And they land on Navarro, where he encounters a couple of old friends, Cara Dune, who is now the marshal, and Grief Kargan, who is now the administrator. And two of them together have kind of teamed up and created a pretty decent outpost in the post-Empire era. But as they start to work on Mando's ship, they ask for his help. Perhaps he can help them get rid of this old Imperial base that's probably lightly staffed, but it's caused them some grief. And they said, we can drop the kid in school. And while there's a brief scene of where once again he's stealing food, we don't see much of the child through the rest of the episode. They then go and find, of course, that this Imperial outpost is much more than it seems to be and much more staffed than it would appear to be. We use an old bounty that goes along that works for grief, that is mostly comic relief, kind of like the Gabby Hayes type of sidekick. But it departs from being so much a Western as past Mandalorian episodes have been, and in this case becomes very much like a Star Wars chapter. The Imperial outpost, of course, looks very Imperial. It looks like the inside of the Death Star or any of the dreadnoughts that we've seen in various movies, and it has your usual straight shooting stormtroopers. A surprise that they find that this is not just an old outpost that's lightly manned, it's actually fairly heavily manned, and it's a research facility. And apparently it ties in the child. There's a lot of blaster battles, there's a lot of running up and down, there's some acquisition of Imperial hardware, and then there's even the TIE fighters that are flying through a trench. And it's very Star Wars. It's very cinematic. It's very action-packed. And one of the things that I think that you can say about Star Wars is that it's at its best when there's not a whole lot of dialogue. And there's not in this. There's just, you have enough in order to make the characterization work. You have enough to know kind of what's going on, unless, of course, once again, my complaint of usual, that you have to have read everything that's ever been written about this, and there are 1,000 Easter eggs in this. Apparently, in the background at the school that they set down the child in, a protocol droid is teaching this class about the reason that the Kessel Run is so difficult, and it apparently does some clarification of canon elements of what makes Kessel so difficult to go to and get back from. So little things in there, like I say, an Easter egg for those who are well studied in Star Wars lore. Generally speaking, this is one of those things where you know where all of the budget money went. It's good to see the old friends again. We got Mando's ship repaired just in time for him to save the day, and he's off again, where the final joke has the child having eaten too many cookies. So it isn't where we expected it to be by this week. Last week it seemed like the next time we would see them would be finding the Jedi, but just a little drop off and an old friend to get his ship repaired was this episode, which, like all Mandalorian episodes, is never so simple. It's a problem that needs to be solved, and Mando puts us all into it. And so that's what we have in this particular episode. Thank you for watching the video. I hope that you will subscribe if you like what we do here. And certainly we want to hear from you in the comments what you think about this. You can inform me about some of the Star Wars lore that I missed out of this episode. I'd be interested in learning it. Until next time, don't go far.